Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. He who justifies the wicked, and he who condemns the just, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord. My name's Arthur, and I thank you for joining me as we think together on these two verses from Proverbs chapter 17. Verse 13 says, "Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house." And verse 15, "He who justifies the wicked, and he who condemns the just, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord." The New Testament describes this world as an evil world, and all of us are acquainted with evil, bad things that happen, bad things that others do, and bad things that we do. And there are many circumstances in which we ourselves are tempted to do something that is not good, that is evil, to set aside truth and righteousness for an advantage that we might gain. So we might see something and want to steal it, hear something which we don't like, and so we speak against it, not regarding whether it is true or not, but because it affects our reputation or something like that. But everything that we do has a consequence. Everything has a consequence. And so verse 13 says, "Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house." The New Testament challenges us as believers to overcome evil with good. That is, Jesus taught us when somebody does something evil to us, that we should respond to them by doing something good to them. The whole point of this exercise is that we are trying to diffuse the evil and to re-establish the good. Because if we respond evil for evil, then we just aggravate the situation. If you hurt me, I hurt you back. Then you hurt me back, and so the tit for tat goes on. But if we reward good for evil, then maybe we can diffuse the evil after a period of time. We have an example of this in the story of Abraham. He'd gone down to Abimelech and lived in his territory. There he dug a well so that he could water his sheep. Well, Abimelech's servants came and said, "Hey, that's our water," and chased Abraham away. So he moved away. He didn't fight Abimelech's servants. He moved away to another valley where his servants were not, and dug another well. But Abimelech's servants followed him yet again, and said, "That's our water, that's our well," and drove Abraham away. Again, he didn't fight Abimelech. He patiently moved on to a third place, where he dug another well. After this, there was no more contention. Abimelech recognized the hand of God in Abraham's life and made a peace treaty with Abraham. He had diffused the situation, not defending his right to the water that came from the well that he'd dug, but letting others have that water and going again and digging another well and another well. And so good will bless Abraham's house. But whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. So we are urged to do good to all men, especially the household of faith. But those who would do evil against us, to destroy our testimony, to speak against us, the consequence is that they are inviting evil into their lives. And as they have done, so it will be done to them. Evil will not depart from his house. Evil happens between two people, but other people observe. And so verse 15 says, "He who justifies the wicked, and he who condemns the just, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord." The Lord deals in truth, and any untruth is unacceptable to him. God is not a man that he should lie, the scriptures say. God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. God's word is truth, There is no lie, there is no misrepresentation in it. But men lie, and wicked men can be justified by others, say, oh, that's not so bad. They have a right to do that, or they should do that. And this kind of thing is happening a lot in our society. It is God who determines what is right and wrong. And those who would justify others who go against God's word, they are fighting against God. If you approve of what they do, then in effect you become guilty of their sin as well. And of course it works both ways. There are those who justify the wicked, and there are those who condemn the just. Romans chapter 1 talks about those who justify the wicked. The wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who suppress the truth in unrighteousness, because what may be known of God is manifest in them, for God has shown it to them. For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because although they knew God, they did not glorify him as God, nor were thankful, but became futile in their thoughts, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Professing to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed animals, and creeping things. Therefore God also gave them up to uncleanness in the lusts of their hearts, to dishonour their bodies among themselves, who exchanged the truth of God for the lie, and worshipped and served the creature rather than the Creator, who is blessed forever. For this reason God gave them up to vile passions, for even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another, men with men committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error which was due. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a debased mind, to do things which are not fitting, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, evil-mindedness. They are whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, violent, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, and disobedient to parents, undiscerning, untrustworthy, unloving, unforgiving, unmerciful, who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them. So having outlined the process by which people, having the knowledge of God, turn away from God and end up with a real mess of rebellion in their lives, he says that people realize that God should judge the wicked, but still they do these things and approve of others who do them. So wicked men justify the wicked, and wicked men condemn the just. Jesus himself was without sin, and yet he was condemned to execution. Naboth was just, but was condemned. Joseph was just, but was condemned by his brothers, sold as a slave. David was just, but Saul hounded him to kill him. This kind of behaviour is an abomination to the Lord. The Lord will reward the righteous and condemn the wicked. As Jesus spelt it out for us in Matthew chapter 10, he who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones only a cup of cold water in the name of a disciple, assuredly I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward. Whoever rewards evil for good, evil will not depart from his house.